and roll, Chicago. Rock and roll, Chicago, my hometown. Well, I was born in the city, gonna rock your city, Chicago. Chicago rock and rollers are the best you're ever around.
Hey, this is Paul Martin
And Ray the Roadie.
for the Rock and Roll Chicago podcast. What's up, Ray?
I don't know. I feel like I want to hold your hand.
Really?
Uh-huh.
That's nice. That's nice.
I just thought maybe we could come together.
I see. Okay, so you're doing Beatles references. Why is that?
Because we're talking to a unique group of Beatles tribute entertainers.
Okay, all right.
There's 4 gals who do a show called, they call themselves the Beatelles.
Oh, the Beatelles.
The Beatelles, they do all Beatles music. I don't believe I've ever heard of an all-gal group doing that.
It's an all-girl review, right?
It is. It is.
Very cool. Sounds like fun.
It is. I mean, that's some of the best music in the world.
Who doesn't like the Beatles, right?
Who doesn't? Exactly. Probably the Rolling Stones at the time and all the other bands didn't like them. But nowadays, yeah, everybody loves the Beatles.
Yep.
They've influenced numerous musicians.
If it wasn't for the Beatles, I don't think Rock and Roll Chicago podcast would even be here.
Probably not. You're probably not. Yeah. Since we don't get a chance of ever appearing on Ed Sullivan. So shall we start this little train rolling? No, that's more of a Aerosmith reference.
Sure. Let's trying to think of a Beatles song that I could reference. Well, let's just see what they have to say. Let's learn about the Beatelles.
Let's do it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our show today. Today, we're speaking with the Beatelles. That's right. It's an all-girl Beatle band. And we've got Christine and Amanda and Erica and Jen. How you doing, girls?
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Great. Very, very well. Thank you so much for you guys.
Good. Thanks for joining us today. And so tell us a little bit about how you came up with the idea of putting this together. First off,
well, being a lifelong Beatle fan and being partnered with a Beatle maniac, Frank Canino, we were with a group of friends and we were just talking about projects. You know, we were with friends that all had other projects going on. But I said, wouldn't it be like the best thing in the world if we did like a female Beatle tribute? Because we were talking about the power of the Beatles. It just doesn't matter if nothing matters. If you're a Beatle band, if you're doing Beatle music, people will come. You know, it's like the Field of Dreams. You build it and they will come. You build a project out, people will come and enjoy it. So it started that way about a year and a half ago from the concept. You know, okay, so then what would that involve? Okay, we would have a band, but we could also do tracks. You know, do we want the girls to play instruments? Well, like eventually we would want that, but it's been growing. It's a work in progress. You know, we're really happy where it is now, but there's a lot of room for growth. And we've been talking about, you know, maybe starting with a couple songs, you know, the girls playing, Love Me Do or something on the instruments. But it's a theatrical production. You know, it's not a band. You know, we're a show. Starts with the early Beatles. We talk a little bit. We give a little bit of history. There's some choreography, some staging. You know, we do costume changes. We go into kind of the Pepper era up until the end. And in a nutshell, that's it.
So it's more on the roof of a building or something?
Could happen.
If we're lucky.
I'm ready.
So it's more of like a show, a performance, rather than a band playing, right?
Well, like I said, we could have the band backing us, or we can do the whole show with tracks either way. But we're a show. We're a theatrical production. You know, I can see us eventually in theaters. You know, which is sold out audiences all over the world. But you know, for now, we're doing the park districts and casinos, occasional clubs. You know, just to kind of get our bearings.
And what part do you play, Christine?
I am Paul McCartney.
I see. Mm-hmm. And who plays who?
Ladies.
I'm George, so I get all the best songs.
Amanda is George. Okay.
I'm Jen Zayas, and I play the wonderful John Lennon.
Very, very
Oh, let me guess what Erica does.
Yes.
Ringo.
That's right, Ringo Starr.
Woohoo!
How did you guys come up with this? Are these your favorite Beatles, or how did you decide who was going to be who?
No, my favorite Beatle is John, but talking with, Frank, we got to bring him in here for this, but he's like, we need a Paul McCartney that can, do a Good Golly Miss Molly and then a Yesterday or something. And he's like, you got to do the Paul. So we started with that. The next thing was I needed a George that could just do the difficult harmonies and just be, have the wonderful leads as well. And I knew Amanda, her and I, we've had our two bands have crossed paths, we've never gone out together, but I'm like, I think Amanda Wolf she'd be able to sink in that George part, no problem. And that's how we got Amanda. I sent her a message and I don't know if you're half interested in a project like this. And right away she's like, yes. We got really, really lucky with that. Then we needed a sub Johns. We've gone through like a couple of Johns who've just had busy lives, busy bands, whatever. But we needed a sub Jen. She came in and just killed it. And we kept her.
I have no life, so it's fine. I was available.
Worked out. Yeah, that's what it was.
I have the time to obsess over John. And that's how. Yeah.
The obsession is just so cool. Like just being able to talk to you and have all those little things, all that stuff. That's awesome to have that kind of information coming back at us. And then we held an audition for Ringo. And we had all kinds of people sending videos and coming in. And this girl came in and she sang a couple songs. We were very stoic. We're like, okay, well, we'll let you know. And she left the room and Frank and I were very quiet. And I looked at Frank and I said, I think I love her.
Aww.
That was it.
So Erica was in.
Yeah.
Very good.
And I was over the moon just to see a casting that was look for a low alto tenor range because that never happens.
She has a really, really strong voice and just this fantastic personality. So
I know, Christine, you obviously play in another band. You've got experience playing and performing with Rosie and the Rivets. But what about you other girls? Have you done any acting? Have you done any acting or any?
Oh my gosh, they're amazing. Let's start down the line. I see Amanda first in the line.
Yeah. I always say like my first life was theater. I used to do a lot of like storefront Chicago musical theater, and which doesn't pay very much. And so then I started singing. I started singing with one band, which is a big band, the Alan Gressick Swing Shift Orchestra, big band, Thursday nights at the Green Mill. And then out of that met a lot of people, started singing with a 6-piece band called the Flat Cats, which is all like 20s through 50s stuff. And that's really how I met Christine, because we're very much in the same kind of scene, same world. So started doing that. I've just been singing with the bands for several years now. It's been a long time since I did any theater, but so that's how I met Christine and crossed paths, and she eventually asked me about doing George.
So the Flat Cats are still playing?
Yeah, it was a little less for a couple of years there, but yeah, we're playing right now. It's more private stuff, but we play a lot of, we've always done clubs and hotels and that kind of thing. Private parties. We do like, dance club, ballroom dance, club night, stuff like that. But yeah, we've been sort of all over the Chicagoland area for a while. I've been with them for over 10 years.
Erica?
Yeah. I grew up doing theater, and I went to school for musical theater and have been performing kind of all over the country for the last 5 or 6 years, and came back to Chicago. I'm from the Chicagoland area. So came back during pandemic times because the tour I was on got canceled. And and then I was just here and saw a casting call and thought, hey, I've never really been in a band, and was pleasantly surprised that it was more of a theatrical production than just a band. Not just a band, because bands are amazing. But, I was excited to see that it had a theatrical aspect to it, because I'm a music theater geek through and through, and song and dance courses through my veins.
Me too. I have a degree in musical theater. I started in theater myself, and I, started there, and I did a lot of the musicals that I did were based on the American Songbook book, like a lot of Cole Porter musicals, Rodgers and Hart. So that kind of evolved for me into doing more jazz and American Songbook and vocal styling, singing. So that's what I did for many years. And then I was in a band called Samba Bamba in the Chicago area for many years. And I'm in a band now, Mr. Lucky, and I have my own trio and band as well. So I think we all do a lot of different types of music. And I have done a lot of Beatles music over time in my jazz and lounge career, I must say, because Beatles songs work in every style. Let's just say it. They work everywhere. So
including elevator music, right?
Oh, it's just great. And you can rock it, you can swing it, you can waltz it, you can do everything. Yeah. So it's really exciting to do this because, if I had to go on a desert island and somebody said you can only do one band's music for the rest of your life and it's the Beatles, I'd be like, great. Their music is so diverse.
Where do I sign up? Huh?
Yeah, exactly. So it's really exciting to be part of this.
So do you play guitar as well or no?
I do. I play. Well, let's say yes. Will I be playing in this band? Well, as Christine said, we're working on a couple of songs. So yeah, I play guitar and ukulele, and I don't know if the ukulele will come into the Beatelles, but I think the guitar will at some point, and I'm really looking forward to that.
Jen. Was it John Lennon when they asked him, do you play they were saying, what do you play, Paul? I play the bass, Ringo, I play the drums. And I think it was John that said, I play rhythm guitar and also I play the Fool. Does that sound good?
That's right. That's right. Okay. That's what I needed to just say just now. Why didn't I say that? As I play rhythm guitar and I play the Fool. Exactly. That's exactly right.
The ukulele, you said, right?
But he played. Don't even get me started. Oh, I wish I had my ukulele up here. I've been in my studio. I love it. We're going to have to do some jamming, Paul.
George Harrison was obsessed with the ukulele.
He was.
George Harrison was obsessed with ukulele, and he used to have like 5 in the trunk of his car. He'd bring them out. He'd give them out as gifts. He was obsessed with ukulele.
Wow. I actually didn't know that. I am not surprised though, because he was such a consummate. He was obsessed with just all the string all the instruments, all the string instruments. He's a consummate player. But here's something that I was learning in this documentary today. I knew that Paul played the piano really well, but I also didn't realize that he played the piano really early on, and he played the piano kind of from the beginning, and he was on guitar and then went, they had all these people in, Stu Sutcliffe, the sexy one who was in the bass. He was not even intending on necessarily playing the guitar, which I find crazy because I love Paul. I love his picking style. He's got a beautiful
playing the trumpet, and he decided to stop playing the trumpet because he wanted to sing. And so he played the guitar, and then George and John, they needed a bass player. So he learned to play the guitar because the other two weren't going to. So that's
amazing to me. What's amazing, and John really wanted to be a painter and was, and painted his whole life, really wanted to be a painter. More talent in their little fingers.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? They were just so multi-talented in so many ways.
Yeah.
Wow.
Amazing.
So Erica, you play drums at all or no?
So in our show, I play tambourine, claves, cowbell, lots of hand clapping. But I actually, when I was younger, when I was in like middle school, I grew up in an African drum club. So That was my first experience with drumming, and my brother played drums in high school. So, I always used to watch him, but my primary instrument besides voice is cello. So I grew up playing cello since I was in third grade.
Wow.
That's very cool.
Oh my gosh. How can we get a cello in there somehow? Oh my gosh. Now I'm just thinking.
I do.
I was going to say, I'm a little rough. He did at one point play a Beatles medley on the cello that had Eleanor Rigby and Strawberry Fields. And, it was beautiful. We were a little quartet, but.
Yeah, I was trying to think of a song that would work with the cello. And I'm sure.
Eleanor Rigby's cello.
Yeah.
Well, when you get George Martin, when you start getting him, all the strings that were added, Long and Winding Road.
Yesterday.
Oh gosh, they're just all going to escape me. But you could put strings on any of them, but they use strings a lot, or at least their version of strings in so many of their beautiful tunes. Although Long and Winding Road, was it Long and Winding Road or Let It Be, or both, you guys, Christina, or both? It was Paul McCartney that they thought they were not satisfied with the way that it was presented on the records and wanted to do. Which one was it?
Road wasn't even a George Martin. That was
that Spector.
Spector.
Yeah. Overproduced. I think they felt like it was overproduced. Even though I'm not knocking Phil Spector, because I love the Wall Sound. I love Phil Spector too. His production, I didn't knock, no pun intended. He's a bit of he had some violence issues, let's just say. But
we won't go there. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
For another day.
Right. But I remember especially with Let It Be, they were not satisfied kind of with, they wanted things to be much more pared down than they ultimately were on some of the tracks. Isn't that correct? Am I wrong?
Yeah. Well,
if I remember.
Yeah. That's why they liked, just had so much fun with One After 909. It's just, songs that just took them back to the day.
Right.
So going down the line, then, did we discuss if you play any instruments?
Oh, my instrument playing. Well, my first instrument was violin. I also started in third grade, and my twin sister and I, Erica, would play violin and cello duets. So, maybe we can my violin playing is a little rusty, to put it lightly.
I'm feeling Eleanor Rigby coming on right now. We're gonna get a uke in there too.
What about A Day in the Life? A Day in the Life.
Yes.
Yeah. I do play a little ukulele, a little guitar. My best instrument is piano.
Right.
I'm not a piano genius, but that would definitely be my strongest instrument, which I started in fifth grade shortly after.
Amanda also plays the melodica very well, because we played together in one of our bands. So Amanda and I have been in a Christmas band, a Christmas group together, trio. A cappella with instruments for the last 12 years now. So that's how we know each other.
Teenagers.
Yeah. Yes.
A Christmas trio.
Yeah. So and oddly enough, we don't do
Simply Having a Wonderful Christmas.
We don't do Simply Having a Wonderful Christmas Time. And So This Is Christmas, is like in my top 5 favorite Christmas songs. And I never get to do it. So I think we have to add it this next year. Do we have to add it to the Beatles? Are we going to have a Christmas number in the Beatles?
We might.
What?
We might.
Right?
Good idea. Yeah. If you do a Christmas show, sure.
Yeah, exactly. That would be fun.
So speaking of songs, what are some of your favorites to do?
Gosh.
Well, I love together doing Paperback Writers, one of my favorites, because we all sing on it. There's a lot of harmony on it. It just, we did it clicked together really well. It's just
sounds
a good
great. Erica and Amanda sound. John gets the easy part on that. Paperback. That's all I gotta do. So they really, which is really fun, because then I hear all the other harmonies coming in around me, and it's beautiful.
Now, what about some of the songs that went with women's names in them or girls' names? Because there's a lot of them. Besides Michelle, there's Anna and
Julia.
Julia.
We do them as written. We don't change genius. We don't.
We do them as written. Yes, we are girls singing about girls that the Beatles loved.
Yeah. Okay.
Or in John's case, his mom.
Yeah. And some of the
Julia.
I was gonna say some of the songs are working out great. One of Ringo's songs is "Boys," and it actually makes a lot more sense.
Right.
One of my favorites too. Yeah.
Yes, mine as well. Love that.
Oh my God. We're so doo-woppy girl group in that one. I love it.
Yeah, me too. One of my favorite songs. I love in the show.
I think probably that.
What do you guys think I'm going to say? What did you think I was going to say?
Well, I know you love doing "Come Together" with me. That's another one of my favorites, actually.
Okay, I love doing "Come Together" because it's George and I get to do George, aka Amanda, a duet together on that one, and I do actually love doing that song. It's that was I actually love the lyrics in them because they are, even though they are so weird, they make sense. You can see what he was referencing in them with, especially the last verse where he's Muddy Water and Mojo Filter and Early Warning is all the blues singers I just really want to handle on what drugs John was using while he wrote that song because the lyrics are so crazy.
Here's what I know about that song.
Tell me.
He was asked to write it for a politician. And so all he knew for sure is that what he wanted to say was "come together." That was the main, the main point of it. So when he first started singing it, it's like, it was just words. So here come all the top, he come grooving up slowly, so it was just things that he wanted to say in the beginning, but some words that just worked, that fell off his tongue, came out of his mouth. He liked the way they sounded. But the main point that was "come together" is for a politician, and that whole thing fell apart. But the song was so cool, and the feel for it, he kept it.
Well, and don't you think from watching Get Back, the documentary about them, and just from seeing their footage over the years, it seemed like a lot of Paul, John, and George, and especially John and Paul, a lot of their writing, a lot of their words that they would have filler words.
Yes.
They would just spit out and keep singing over and over again. It was a very specific kind of songwriting where they get a groove, they get a melody, and they just keep spitting words out. And I think Come Together is one of those songs where it stayed. A lot of them just stayed. He's like, I like the way these sound. I'm going to keep them. And, he's got Ono Sideboard and Walrus Gumboot. Obviously, he's talking about Paul McCartney, and obviously he's talking about Yoko Ono at that point. But so there's references there, but a lot of their gobbledygook stayed in their lyrics.
Yeah. Well, I think it's just sometimes when you're writing a song or something, you get a feel for some words. Yeah. Some words may not make any sense, like you said,
but they felt good.
Right. Until they use them until you get the right words, the right words come out. But,
exactly.
So speaking of Yoko Ono, you guys don't do any Yoko, do you?
Oh, no.
All right, good.
Well played. Oh,
no. I am not. Hey, John Lennon, after watching and reading books about him and seeing, he was deeply, deeply in love with her. And she was a huge advocate of him and has continued to be a huge advocate of him. So my opinion about her has actually changed over the years. I love John's solo career too. He did beautiful music. I actually, as a child, did own Yoko Ono's the Yoko Ono solo album. I don't know. It was pretty big for a while. Double Fantasy. Remember, you guys remember that came out when I was a very young child, and for some reason I got it as a Christmas present, and so I was really into that record. I was into her solo record. When you're 6 and 7, there's no accounting for taste for that one, but so I think he made a lot of beautiful music when she was in his life. His solo career is great. And when he was I didn't realize how much of her life he was in when they were writing all of Let It Be. I didn't realize she was such a huge part of that too. I didn't know. So it's a lot of great music there on his part. And she was very quiet. I thought she was very quiet. So I do have to say that the documentary Get Back, if you get a chance to watch it, she really didn't say much and interfere in anything. She
didn't have to. She was just annoying.
Right. She was just there. Right.
She was just there.
But at least you didn't interrupt him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think her being there was problem enough. Like, this is not your and her time.
It seemed...
He's sitting there playing the guitar. And she's leaning on him and leaning up against him and right. Being an annoyance, I think.
But it seemed to be that he wanted her there. That's why we want her there, He wanted his woman there. Wonderful guitar playing on John and Paul's part, and the way they riffed together, and just when they were, they had such a lexicon of music. I think one of the things that I don't know if it was because they played together at the clubs for so many, these 7-hour gigs when they first started out. They got so good. And I know they stopped touring. They stopped touring after 2 years, right? For they were together 10 years. And I think for the last 6 years, they didn't tour, correct? Right. Something like that. Because the sound system, the sound at the time they just could never hear themselves over the screaming, and it wasn't, aurally worth it for them. So just to see them play together and the lexicon of music, the language they had with each other, and how the facility and how easily they could pull up tunes and riff off each other and harmonize together. And the four of them, they were a great band.
When was the first time you actually heard the Beatles? How old were you?
Oh gosh, I'm sure my mom sang When I'm 64 to me when I was a kid. That's
hard to say. I was definitely young. I had a couple uncles that were like Beatles fanatics, and when I was a little kid, would take me to the Beatle Fest, and so I don't know, probably when I was like 5, something like that, but maybe even earlier. But it wasn't my parents loved the Beatles, but not fanatically so. Like they had Beatles records, which now belong to me, are in the other room, but because they don't listen to records anymore. But I don't remember hearing it from parents, definitely my uncles.
But it was probably long after the Beatles had already broken up, right?
Oh yeah.
Sure.
For me, I was 5, and there was a little girl across the street who I went over, and she had probably her parents' record collection, but it was the album Help. And I don't remember hearing it, but it was the picture of John Lennon in the straw hat. And I pointed to him and I said, I'm going to marry him. I fell in love with John Lennon, probably before I heard a single song. Just that man in that straw hat, I'm going to marry.
My wife would have said the same thing.
What was that?
My wife says the same thing.
Is that right?
Yes.
Erica?
He was very striking.
I mean, I was little. I mean, I can't claim that I did know about those. My parents all those fanatics. I mean, they liked them enough. But I feel like when I was growing up, I only ever heard White Album and maybe Abbey Road.
Nice.
Like I did not get exposed to the vast majority of Beatles songs until I was like in high school, who actually just saw one of our shows, who is beyond a Beatles fan and is very adamant about telling everyone that she's named after a Beatles song.
Yeah.
She was sweet.
No, right. Your friend's very
Molly
nice.
Joe
Your friend's very nice.
You did know every single word to every song we did. Yeah.
Yes.
Loved
Yes.
it.
Yes.
So she's probably the one that really pushed me to explore more Beatles. And then it was just like, it was always around because I was always around music people and there was always someone who liked the Beatles, but I didn't like listen through all of the Beatles until probably after I graduated college. So
everybody eventually comes to the Beatles somehow.
That's right. What about you guys?
Yeah.
Well, I was.
Ray, how about you guys?
I was exposed to the Beatles when they were on the Ed Sullivan Show. Yeah, 1964.
How exciting! How exciting!
Yes,
I heard them before.
So you didn't actually see it. Did you actually see the show?
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
I did.
Oh, you both did? Oh my gosh. So, you guys must have been really young though. You were very young. You were your kids then.
I was 10 years old.
Yeah.
And 9 years old.
That must have been really exciting.
So exciting. Yeah.
But did you like them in the way because did you like them automatically because they were so like girls were so gaga over them? What did you like their music? I mean, because they were bringing the Mercy beat sound.
Yeah, I liked them, but I had just gotten a guitar for Christmas. Just that Christmas before that. So I remember my dad showing me a few chords, and then seeing the Beatles, of course, and then that pushed me over the edge, to pick up guitar and start playing guitar. Right?
Wow. Love it. How about you, Ray?
I'd heard a lot of their songs on the radio before they even came to the country.
Yeah.
They were playing it and stuff. And I liked it. It just sounded good. And then when they got here, I thought, okay, that's gonna be kind of cool. And we got to see them at Ed Sullivan. I never realized what significance that night would be, but it was cool to see them. Yeah, even before they were here, I liked them.
That is so cool. I know my mom saw them once at I think at Sox Park.
Right.
Yep.
Ooh. Yeah. That would have been fun. Did you guys now, did you have older siblings that were, or what did you think because one of the things I love about them is that they evolved so much. Their sound completely changed. I actually I always say I'm Rubber Soles on. I like the later, I like the stuff from 66, 67 on. And so what did you think about their evolution? Did you like them? Did you like the music that you heard initially, or did you like them as they evolved, or did they get too weird for you? Or
well, I like the stuff as it was early on, but the first Beatles album that I got, my sister bought me a Sgt. Pepper's for Christmas one year.
I got that for one of my birthdays too.
Yeah, and Sgt. Pepper just I thought was very unique and very, very creative. And
yeah, I like the early stuff too. And then when they started evolving, at first I didn't understand what was going on, because they went from one sound to this kind of strange sound.
Changed a lot.
Yeah, and then eventually I came to like it. I was like, I really like that. And so I pretty much from start to finish, I like it all.
It's interesting because it's interesting because coming to the Beatles after all of the evolution, after they've been broken up, like for me, I don't remember hearing one album and then another album specifically. It's like I would hear Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds and then Love Me Do, and then like them doing Besame Mucho, and then one after 909, like just such a variety of stuff. And, and including really early stuff, which I loved. But so it was such a, like, for me, it was like the Beatles could do anything because they did so much. It was like, oh, that's the Beatles and that's the Beatles and that's the Beatles too. It was just so, I just thought they were amazing from the get-go because it was all so different and interesting and like things that I never heard and still don't necessarily hear, like one band doing that but that amount of variety, even over.
Do you girls concentrate on one era of music, or you said you changed from?
We changed, all of us. I just realizing as you said that, Amanda, that I didn't realize how much the Beatles' music, their trajectory has influenced sort of, well, obviously it's so, obviously modern musicians, but musicians that really have a lot of diversity, because so many people today, they'll combine jazz and country and rock. They'll do everything. And the Beatles really did that first to me. They did, because they had every style. They ended up doing every style of music in their career. They did jazz songs. They did pop songs. They did swing. They did country. They did waltzes. They did folk. Everything, rock, blues. It's amazing.
And going back to your question, like if we have a show where there's a natural break and we have the time for that, then we do like our early 60s look and then our later, like our earlier look, 50s look, and then later, like Sgt. Pepper, flashier look. So, and that's how the music is arranged too.
Right. We tend to do the earlier stuff in the first set, 63 up till 65. And then we switch over and do sort of the Sgt. Pepper era on up after we get our groovy costumes on. And that's kind of a fun way to set it up. That's when you'll hear Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. And that's when you'll hear Hello, Goodbye and Come Together.
Yeah, all that stuff.
Yeah, Here Comes the Sun.
Are these just fancy outfits, or are they replicas of what they wore at that time?
They're a nod to the costumes. So there's the color block, where Paul in his Sgt. Pepper outfit had pink and blue. I can't even remember, whatever.
Yeah.
So, so each, Amanda being George would wear the colors that George wore. So not the shiny Sgt. Pepper costume, but the color. And just a nod to outfit.
Yeah, so it's not obvious. Like there's a lot of stuff I think that we do that a true blue Beatles fan would be like, I see what you did there, and it might go over other people's heads, including the colors we're wearing, kind of thing.
Now, several of you seem to have very, very great knowledge of the Beatles and some stories behind them. Do you tell stories as you go along?
Yes.
Like stories of a certain song coming up or whatever.
Yes. Yeah. So we have a script, and we'll start at the very beginning. We'll talk about the Ed Sullivan Show. We'll move on. We'll bring Ringo in for a song. We'll talk about I want to say about that George song, but I don't know if we do it anymore. The show is evolving so much. I can't even remember. We're adding Day Tripper and.
One After 909.
One After 909.
Another song's leaving, so the script is changing, but there is a script, and there are nods, and there are discussion. We talk about certain songs, and there's some songs we just go from one to the next. There's nothing to discuss. It's like, boom, it's She Loves You. It's, I Want to Hold Your Hand, or whatever it is.
Our goal is to take the audience on a journey to get them, if they're not familiar with the Beatles, to get to know the Beatles and the conditions under which some of the songs are written and where they were used. And then if you are a huge Beatles fan, to come and visit old friends and join us and have a great time reliving Beatles music, but in a new way, because it's 4 women singing it and having a good time.
But it's a work in progress. Some things work. Some, we think this is like a really important point to say, this song, whoever, Chet Baker, whoever was the influence, whoever, and then we're talking, nobody's paying attention. Okay, we'll strike that from the script. So it's ever changing. We're seeing what works, what people are paying attention to, what's important.
It is fun to see what people respond to too, because we do a lot of hits, but we also do some a little bit lesser known Beatles songs. Like I Sing For You Blue, which is definitely not in everybody's top 10 Beatles songs, So it's fun to watch and interesting just to see like what songs bring people on the dance floor, which songs have people like, holding their lighters or phones, I guess, which ones bring them out.
Right. Agreed.
Yeah. And For You Blue, when we talked about adding that one, we thought about your voice specifically. And we were like, you know what? I mean, if anybody, it might not be the world's most perfect or favorite George Harrison song, but Amanda's just going to sing this so freaking beautifully and perfect.
Oh, that's nice.
We're putting it in the show,
That's sweet. Yep. Agreed. You sound very pretty on it.
Thanks, ladies. Thanks, George, for the inspiration.
Yeah, but we try to get the song. But there's a huge peppering of the songs that you will know and love, and we encourage people to dance and sing along and have a great time with us, because it's Beatles music, and who doesn't love it?
So, how many shows have you guys done?
So I'm going to say that maybe. What do you think, Frank? What did we do? 12?
Yeah, sounds about right.
12 shows with this cast. What have we done, ladies, all together? 3 together? Altogether?
3 altogether, I think, because I've done 4 total.
I thought I've done 2.
I think we've just had 2 with Jen.
Oh, 2 with
That's
Jen.
right. Yeah. So this group too, but we've done 12 from the beginning to exception about a year and a half ago.
So what have you got coming up as far as shows?
We have in April 29th, we'll be at Club Arcata in St. Charles. I don't know how far this podcast goes. However, we are doing
worldwide, you say?
Worldwide. Then in that case, Friday, April 22nd, we're at Rhythm City Casino in Iowa.
Yep.
Oh, in Davenport, Iowa, more specifically. So those 2 shows coming up in April, we're excited about.
So if people are looking for the Beatelles, where can they find you?
Check us out at thebeatelles.com. We have Facebook, we have a website, we have an Instagram page.
Beatelles, Beatelles, Beatelles.com.
And so people are like, are you called the Beatelles? What is that? Notice that people have a hard time figuring out what that is.
Yes. I have a friend that always calls us the Beatlets. I'm like, that's not.
Oh, I like it.
We're not the mini Beatles. We're the Beatles.
I like that. I kind of like that. That's good.
It's a good laugh anyway.
We're much more glamorous than Beatlets.
We are. Yeah.
It's kind of like chiclets. Oh yeah, that would be a whole nother girl group, huh? The chiclets.
I'm sure.
I wonder, you know what? There's got to be a girl group called the Chiclets. It's
bubblegum rock.
Exactly. Bubblegum pop. Yeah, that's exactly right. It's got to be. It's got to already be.
There isn't. There should be.
Yeah,
that's just too perfect.
Bubblegum pop for sure.
Just everybody out there, Ray the Roadie came up with that. I own the rights to it.
Please contact Ray the Roadie.
Trademark that. So, thank you so much for having us.
No,
thanks for coming out tonight. We appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks everybody.
And we'll be seeing you out and about soon.
Oh, I hope so. Yes, you will.
Check us out online. Come see us.
Come together, everybody.
Ooh, come
together.
So it's the Beatelles.com.
Yes.
And the Beatelles on Facebook, right?
Yep.
Okay.
You are correct.
And Instagram.
Yep.
Very good.
You are correct.
Well, thanks for joining us today, girls. Appreciate it.
Yes, thank you very much.
It's our pleasure. Thank you for having us.
Good luck. Good luck and continued success.
Thank you.
So that was the Beatelles of Christine and Erica and Jen and Amanda, and better known as the Beatelles. And they'll be playing, coming to a theater or a show or a casino near you soon, I'm sure.
Very soon. They'll be at the Club Arcata on April 29th.
Yes, and they'll be in Davenport, Iowa at a casino there. I forget which one they said, but on April 22nd. So they're starting to bring their show to the masses. And
yes.
So it'll be, you can go see them as for a day in the life of the Beatelles.
A day in the life. You're correct.
Yes.
Sounds very exciting. Of a female version of John, Paul, Ringo, and George.
Yes. So thanks for listening, everybody. And we'll see you next week. with another exciting episode of the Rock and Roll Chicago podcast.
And while you're at it, check out the roadtorock.org, which is a home page for the Illinois Rock and Roll Museum on Route 66 in beautiful downtown Joliet, Illinois, home of our studio.
That's right. And then check out our rock and roll Chicago podcast.com, and you can find out, listen to all the different entertainers and musicians and what have you that we've interviewed.
That's right. There are quite a few of them out there.
Yes, sir.
Until then, we'll talk to you next week.
Bye-bye.
The Rock and Roll Chicago podcast does not own the rights to any of the music that's played on this podcast.
The music is used to promote the band or musicians that are interviewed.
Rock and roll Chicago, rock and roll Chicago, my hometown. Well, I was born in the city, gonna rock your city, Chicago. Chicago.